So welcome back to the Asterisk podcast, where I'm your host, April Biondolillo. And today on the episode, this is actually really special because we're calling her my cousin because she really is my cousin.
Right?
I'm like, there's no other way to say it. We have Gracie on the podcast, and I'm just going to
Hello.
give you guys a little bit of some background of Gracie just so you can get to know her because you will fall in love with her. She is the best. Actually, when I grew up with her, she was like doing splits and flips and all the gymnast things that I could not do. So super fun. But Gracie now finds herself, she lives in North Carolina. She is doing worship for Elevation Church, and she also works for Subsplash. She's going to tell you guys a little bit more of what she does, but we are so excited to have her on the podcast. We're just going to be catching up, talking about life, figuring out how she said yes to Jesus, where she's at now. She is an incredible worship leader. I will admit, I
God,
watch
thanks,
many
April.
videos again and again, and I'm like, how do I get her here in Washington to lead worship? Incredible. So, Gracie, welcome to the podcast.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, April. I am so excited to be here.
Yes.
So full circle. I was always obsessed with you growing up and could not
Mm,
wait to go over and hang out with you and our other cousins. So
yes.
so
No,
glad
here we
to
are.
finally reconnect. Here we are as adults.
Yes, it was so funny too because we lost touch. But what was
Hmm.
so funny is I'm just like scrolling through social media. I think a family member had mentioned like you're leading worship, and I found your Instagram and just you like singing. And I was like, I didn't even know this girl could sing. And you're not just singing, you're like leading people. And I was like, wow, this is so. There's just something special when your family members are also like pursuing the Lord
Yes.
and leading other people in that too. So it was just this kindred spirit. And I was like, I have to connect with her. And so we've messaged back and forth on Instagram. And I was like, I need her on the podcast. Like, this is not enough. So here we are. So excited. Gracie, go ahead and just tell us, what was your upbringing like? How did you come to know about Jesus, follow Jesus? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, well, I grew up in a Christian household. Most of our family members are
Yes.
Christians, if not all of them.
Yeah.
So I was no stranger to the Word and Jesus, and was really kind of grown. I can't speak. Goodness
No, it's
gracious,
fine.
I grew up going to church every single time that the doors were open. I was
Mm,
at the church. So I have two sisters. One is my biological sister, Maddie. And then we adopted Heather when I was 13 and she was 15. So that was a little
very
bit
cool.
later in life when you and I hadn't quite connected again.
No, I'm like, I didn't even know that you guys adopted another girl. That's so cool.
Yep, she is the blonde that's on my Instagram. She's a little baby now. He
Amazing.
is incredible. And gosh, her testimony. Oh my gosh, you need to have her on the podcast. She is an incredible woman.
Mm,
But yeah, my upbringing was, lived a life in the Baptist church for 19 years. Of course, in the Baptist church, life is good. Everyone is hush hush about things that are going on behind closed doors.
yeah.
And so navigating that was really interesting
Mm,
and really kind of shaped who I believed and who I believed I was,
yeah.
which was really challenging.
Mm. What like helped you like come more out of kind of like that background of like growing up in a Baptist church to like where you're at today? Were there like influential people? Were there moments, circumstances? What kind of helped you see Jesus in a different light or maybe in a broader light?
That's a great question. I think it was many different things.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think it's the Baptist denomination or Baptist
Right.
church, but really kind of a spirit that was maybe even on myself
Mm,
that I didn't realize I had. And I realized through the example of other people as I grew older and
yeah.
more mature in the faith that there was like a spirit of religion. And
Mm,
I didn't even know what that was. And when I looked into that, I was thinking, oh my goodness, have I ever truly encountered Jesus before?
wow.
Um, Through the example of other believers in my church in my adulthood, I realized that I don't think that I had. Like I
Yeah.
knew Jesus, I knew things about him, um, and I thought that I loved him, but it wasn't until I had a true moment of surrender that he came and met me exactly where I was at and when I needed him the most. This was
Yeah.
like in my 20s. Like, I think I was
Wow.
21 I
Okay.
when this encounter happened. So it's crazy to think that all of that time I thought that I knew Jesus when I really didn't.
Yeah. No, I think that's, like, actually common more in the South too, because it's not that, like, this is the intention, but even for me, a lot of my story resonates with that of growing up in the church and loved the environment, loved the experience
Mhm.
going, but again, me being real and vulnerable in my own life, like, recognizing that Jesus could be personal, and I can't remember if people necessarily shared that or didn't share it, I just never tapped into that for myself. Probably until, like, later in high school of having that experience like you're talking about of, "Wait, this isn't just something, like, I do, like, this is
Yeah.
someone that is real and wants to do life with me and, like, cares about me, even, like, the mess of my life, like, that's not gonna be a turn off or I don't belong here anymore." So, share with us kind of like what that experience was for you, kind of paint a picture of where's Gracie growing up? She's going to church, she's involved, but, like, what are things that you're struggling with when it comes to your worth, your identity of who you are, friendships, relationships, all the things. Where's Gracie at during that time?
Yeah, it's a great, great question. So my mom's a worship leader, my sister's a worship leader. So I'm growing up where,
Wow.
not only are we attending church, but we're like heavily involved in the
Wow.
church. So I had known that I could sing since I really could talk, and
Wow.
I knew that I wanted to lead worship, didn't know exactly what that looked like. I
Yeah.
remember the first time I stepped on the platform, I think I was maybe 13.
Mm.
Um, I literally was hiding behind the worship leader with a microphone, and I'm like trying to sing background vocals as far away from
Wow.
people as possible where they couldn't see me. And so that was my first like experience leading worship.
Mm.
Knew that I wanted to be, plugged in, and to the capacity that my mom, my sister had been plugged into. Um, April, remind me where I was going with this. I'm totally squirrel
No.
braining right now.
I love it. You're like, "This is how it happens with girls
I just have
talking."
to
You're
be
like,
real. My
"I
brain
love that."
sometimes,
You're like,
it's all
"April,
over the place.
where am I heading?" No, just like where you we can simplify the question.
Yeah,
Where was Gracie in during the time of, like, growing up from like, you recognize, like, "Okay, I was going to church all the time, but now I'm in my 20s, and now it's like, this means something." So what were the things that, like, you
right.
struggled with or, like, when it
Yeah,
came to your worth and identity?
yeah, great. Okay, that makes total sense where I was going. So I grew up seeing all of this. In the
Yeah.
meantime, I'm young, I'm impressionable, and
Yeah.
somehow get my hands on, the internet and
Mm.
porn. And so
Yeah.
I was very young when this was introduced to me, and I
Mm.
don't even remember how or why
Yeah.
it was. And so I'm not understanding the things that I'm seeing,
Right.
but keep going back
Yep.
to that. At the same time, trying to navigate my life and who God has called me to be, trying to be a worship leader, but
Mm.
like there's like also this like thing that I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't good,
Mm.
but like I'm young, like
Right.
I'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
So fast forward a little bit, I'm in high school now, still leading. Now I'm in the youth worship band,
Mm.
and this is still a struggle. Move forward a little bit. I'm about to graduate high school, and I graduated. I'm still leading, and then decide I'm going to take a step back.
Mm.
I wanted to have freedom and make my own decisions, and I was done kind of leading worship. It was
Yeah.
a lot of responsibility, a lot of time practicing, and really I wasn't in love with leading worship. I wasn't in love with
Yeah.
Jesus. I loved to sing,
Mm.
but like there was nothing that was like tying me there. I just decided I'm going to let go.
Wow.
So I did, and I lived a life very far from Jesus,
Yeah.
when I was around 18 to 21.
Yeah.
Um, in that time, I lived a lot of life,
Mm.
that I wish that I could redo.
Mm.
Was in a couple of long-term relationships that were not good for me,
Yeah.
which I can totally dive into as
Yeah.
far as worth and validation goes as well. But to keep along this same trek, I end up the second guy that I was with, I guess you could say, his mom went to this church.
Mm.
And I was like, ah, church again. Okay, maybe it's good for us that we like go back to a
Yeah.
church, maybe together. So I go to this church. I love it. I fall in
Mm.
love with the church. I'm going to church where I had actually done not wonderful things like right before I left to go to the
Wow.
church. I'm in the church and I'm like hoping nobody's noticing. Um Fast forward, we end up breaking up. I stay at the church. He's
Wow.
kind of in and out, and I feel called to lead worship. I'm like, okay, I want to
Wow.
get my life back on track. Um,
Wow.
I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I had nobody. I
Mm.
had no friends left. I had completely cut off everyone that I loved, everyone that I knew while
Mm.
I was in these relationships. All I wanted was that person.
Yeah.
And so when I turned around after that relationship had ended, I had nobody.
Wow.
I remember being introduced to, like, surrendering things at the altar. And it
Mm.
sounds so simple, especially when you grow up in the church. You're like, yeah, we worship at the altar, we go pray
Yeah.
at the altar. So I'm like, I'm going to give this a go.
Wow.
So I am at a worship night and I decide I'm going to go down to the altar and I'm going to surrender everything.
Mm.
I had struggled, like I had mentioned, continually with porn.
Yeah.
At this point, I had been diagnosed with anxiety,
Mm.
with depression, and OCD.
Wow.
And I was on medication. I was ready to give it all. I'm like, Lord Jesus, I know that you can take this from me.
Wow.
Met a phenomenal girl at the altar. I'm still connected with her today,
Mm.
Alexis. She prayed such a powerful prayer over me. It really prayed the Spirit into these areas that I had not allowed Him
Wow.
into, and I hadn't allowed Him to minister to me in those areas. Let Him in and showed Him the most vulnerable parts of me, like He
Mm.
didn't already know,
Wow.
but allowed Him to work in those areas, and He did. And 2 days later, I was completely off of everything. I had no
Wow.
more medication for the anxiety, or for the depression, or for the OCD and the sleepless nights that I had. Um, I didn't have to take medicine to sleep anymore. Didn't have to take
Wow.
medicine to be still
Mm.
anymore, or to be content. And so that night really changed everything for me. I know that there was so much information that I just kind of threw out on the table. But to kind of recap, I was really far from the Lord,
Yeah.
was brought into this wonderful church that showed me
Mm.
the love of Jesus, and that showed me what a real encounter with Him looks like.
Yeah.
And through that encounter with the Lord, which really was just my heart saying, okay, God,
Yeah.
I can't do this by myself anymore.
Yeah.
I have lived the life, I have done all of the things, and it's no longer for me. That was when the Lord stepped in and showed me who He really was
Wow.
and allowed me to experience Him. We know that God is omnipresent, He's always there, but He truly allowed me to experience His
Wow.
manifest power,
Yeah.
His manifest presence in my life. And
Mm.
I knew from that moment on, I did not want to part from His side ever
Wow.
again.
Oh, that's really powerful. That's so cool just to see. And it's always just funny what God uses. It's like here's this relationship that you're in. Okay, we'll go to church. The relationship ends, but you stay, you know? So
Yeah.
obviously there was already something stirring. There was something that's like maybe I haven't tasted and seen, you know? Maybe it has
Yeah.
just been this routine or this thing I check off a list or something that like I enjoy, but now it's something that's not out of obligation, but there's like I need like there's a desperation to this of like I need whatever is being talked about here in this place. So I love that
Yeah.
that led you to the altar in a place that you're like, okay, I've seen this, I've heard about this, but now here I am.
Mhm.
And really just like laying, like you said, laying everything down. Like, what do I have to lose? So talk us through. You have this like really cool moment. You connect with this girl. What starts happening after that? Like you already were kind of sharing, like, okay, I have a desire, I'm feeling led to do worship again. But before this, worship to you, I love that you identified. I didn't really have a heart for worship. It was more like I just wanted to sing and I enjoyed to sing. So, what
Yeah.
started to shift for you to see? Obviously, I look at you now, I'm like, worship does not mean just like you getting up there to sing. So, what
Yeah.
was kind of that shift of what the Lord was doing in your life after that moment?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I was still connected to kind of that relationship. It wasn't completely fully
Yep.
severed
Yeah.
yet. And so within that, um, I was being kind of pushed to like, hey, like this could be good for you. Like you could try this. So it wasn't all terrible.
Yeah.
Because there were certain points where I was kind of being pushed in a good direction.
Yeah.
And so through the belief that I could do something like this, I was like, okay, well maybe I'll give it a go. And so I just knew in my heart that I would not be able to step on the platform with living the life that I was living.
Mm.
And so when I met Alexis at the altar, she just gracefully allowed me to share exactly what I was going through,
Wow.
and in a way that I'd never experienced before. She showed me what the grace of God looked like with no judgment, with no second question when
Yeah.
I did get up on the platform,
Wow.
with a full confidence that the Lord had transformed me. And so
Wow.
I really do, I know that, of course, Jesus was the one that
Yeah.
saved me and transformed my life, but she exemplified so beautifully the grace of Jesus.
Wow.
And I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
But there was no question, there was no shame. I was like, I was freed. Like
Yeah.
in that moment, I was freed
Mm.
of the things that I had dealt with. And
Yeah.
of course, there was still struggle. Like, there was still, you know, the porn. Kind of would
Yeah.
go through seasons where I wasn't, and then there's seasons where I was,
Yeah.
and there's just like this thing that I just couldn't let go of or couldn't
Yeah.
surrender fully for some reason, even though I so desperately wanted to and I
Wow.
tried. The Lord still used me
Yeah.
in the midst of my struggle, and He still met me fully without holding anything back.
Mm.
And He definitely used Alexis to, yeah, just show me more of His character. And that
I think
allowed me to
that's
kind of step onto the platform with more of
yeah.
confidence.
Yeah. That's so good because I think a lot of the times I think that's what keeps so many of us from coming forward and sharing that area where
Mhm.
we're struggling because it's this idea of like I'm going to come forward with this and I'm just going to be met with judgment. And so
Yeah,
we just keep in isolation, which is what the enemy wants, right?
exactly.
Is and so it's really incredible. Like this is why the Lord has created for us to have community, like why it's a commandment
Mhm.
to, bear each other's burdens, to confess your sins to one another because there's power in community. It makes us stronger and it also just reminds us of we're not alone and you're
Yes.
not going to be perfect, but don't just
Mhm.
stay where you're at. And I think the only way you stay where you're at is when you don't bring that before people. And so you had mentioned, you kind of ditch the friends or the people that were around your life for these guys because that's a lot of where you're putting your validation and worth.
Right.
What would you share or say to a girl that maybe is finding herself in that same spot of like just very codependent on her person, has ditched everyone around? Like, why is prioritizing those friendships and the right friendships like important? Like, looking back on your life, like, what would you say to Gracie during that point of like "Man, what are you doing?" How would you encourage her?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I wish that somebody would have talked to me about this.
Yeah.
Um, because codependency, is like a I don't know if I would necessarily call it like a sin pattern,
Mm,
because I think codependency on the right thing is good. Like we should be codependent on Jesus and on the Word and of like going there first.
yeah.
But a lot of the time, the enemy will put something in place of what we
Mm,
should be, you know, focusing on
yeah.
because there's like counterfeit for everything, right? So like
Wow.
if I'm supposed to be fully focused and my life fully centered around Jesus, um why wouldn't the enemy want to put something in my way to distract? So like the
So
Lord
good.
looks at codependency, I think, in a way as a strength when the enemy wants to use it as your weakness.
Wow, that's really
Um
good, Gracie.
oh, thank you. My goodness. I
Like, "You
wish
gonna
that I would
preach
have
now?"
learned that. I wish that I would have learned that so much sooner.
Yeah,
But I
same.
wish somebody would have told me it's not worth it.
Yeah,
Like, that sounds so simple and not very profound, but my life was it wasn't as rich as it could have been because I didn't
yeah,
have community around me, and people that wanted to steer me in the right direction, I would cut them off
yeah,
because I thought my way was better, and I thought people couldn't see that,
yeah.
and I thought I was doing as the Lord had called me to because I was willing to see the good in somebody
Wow.
when nobody else would.
Yeah,
When really it was a distraction all along. And yes, I believe wholeheartedly that the Lord can and will use everything
yeah,
that we go through in life to glorify Him. And He turned my story around for good, like He says in Romans. But I could have lived the life the Lord wanted me
yeah,
to, a lot more simple with a lot
yeah.
less heartache.
Mm,
I think I could have saved myself a lot of heartache if I would have done as the Lord commanded and operated in community.
yeah.
Because when
No,
you
so
have
good.
people that love the Lord and that want the best for you and have your best interest at heart, they're not going to try to steer you away from Him. They're
Yeah,
always going to try to steer you to Him.
so good.
Um, so I think that like rebellious spirit within me did
Mm,
not want anybody to try to tell me
yeah,
that this was bad for me, that being alone was bad for me. I was like, okay, well, if this is bad for me, then so are you. And I'm just not going to have a relationship with you.
mm,
So I think I chose, I guess those decisions led to me being at my lowest low alone
yeah, yeah,
with it with nobody there to catch me,
yeah,
but Jesus, which,
mm,
I mean, what a great thing to have Jesus to be there at the
yeah,
very end of it all, um,
right.
but how amazing would it have been if I was surrounded by a community of women that could uplift me when
Yeah,
I had no hope.
yeah. No, it's so good. It's so real, and I think it's so funny because I think I struggled a lot with codependency growing up and
Mhm.
sometimes even putting that in my friendships, and so here's, like, a flip to everything we're talking about too, or an addition to. It's like even with what you were saying, I loved your definition of codependency and how it can be a good thing. It's you really have to learn how to depend on the Lord, especially because sometimes your friends can't answer every phone call or be there for
Yeah.
every moment. And even now being in marriage, like and they say this all the time, like you can't put your hope, your identity in your spouse because they're gonna let you down and disappoint you, like every
Mhm.
person will. So it's also learning like how to learn how to run to the Lord, how to just discover your own voice, like who you are as an individual, what things are going to help kind of like coping mechanisms for loneliness
Yeah.
because I don't know about you, but like very similarly struggled with a lot of sexual addiction and I found many a times it was triggered by loneliness when
Mhm.
I was bored, no one was around, I felt depressed with who I was or fill in the blank it was like, boom, well, here's something that's going to distract me. And so I had to
Yeah.
find different things of like, what does April like enjoy to do? Like, who is she? And instead of being scared of that, I almost had to embrace that, especially in my like early 20s. It was a lot of, I'm going to go to a coffee shop by myself, or I'm going to read a book, or I'm going to go explore a thrift store. I'm going to find a new hobby, like just different things to just figure out like who I am. And so I always tell people, I'm like, man, if you can move away, go somewhere on your own, like just step out of your comfort zone, it just shifts the game, which is so exciting
So
because
good.
you did that. You got to make a shift in your life. So before we hop into that, I want to hear about how you came. When you're talking about this church, is it the house church that you're finding yourself at, or is that later?
So the house was so I started in a Baptist church growing up for the
Okay.
19 years, straight away for a couple years, found myself at the house.
Okay. So when
Yeah,
you're at the
that's where I met
house,
Alexis.
very cool. Okay. So you're at the house, and that's where you start leading worship. Do you feel like now, like, did you know that leading worship was going to be something that you wanted to do, like, as a job, as a living, or was it just like, this is just fun at this point?
To be honest, I never thought I was good enough to like make it as a
Wow.
living. I think it had always been like a dream.
Wow.
Um, since I was little, like I
Yeah.
still have videos of myself putting on like living room performances.
Wow.
And so I knew that I always wanted to be a singer. Don't think I always thought I was going to be a worship leader or
Yeah.
that I would necessarily like make it, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was definitely something that I had a passion and desire for.
That's so awesome. So when you're at the house, do you feel like that's where that started to like, did you feel more of a calling in that time, or what was kind of going through your head?
Yeah. Well, the house, their worship was like different than anything I had ever experienced before. This
Yeah.
was like spirit filled
Mm.
and um like cool. Like it was
Yeah.
almost like I hate to say like a concert because obviously like that's not where our heart is when
Yeah.
it comes to like leading worship, but it was just cool. Like I grew up with a choir
Yeah.
and that kind of that like old
Vibe.
school
Yeah.
vibe for
Yeah.
sure. And so I think like when I saw it, I loved it, but it was again, I didn't think that I was good enough to ever like lead people like that. Like
Wow.
I was a sing it by the book. This is where we're going. Like
Wow.
that is it. That's all I've got. And so I just like didn't even want to try
Yeah.
because I didn't think that I would be able to do it.
Mm. So do you feel like it was like people that pushed you out of that place? Because again, now I'm like watching your videos. I'm like, you're not by the book. You're letting the Holy Spirit lead you. So how did you go from that Gracie in the Baptist church, the choir, the play it by the book to, man, I'm doing my thing up here. The Holy Spirit's moving and I'm just gonna go with that. What was that shift?
Yeah, I think it like everything starts with obedience.
Mm,
And when I take it back to the altar, another altar call moment I
yeah.
had with the Lord was when I shared with him, like, God, I am alone. Like, I am by myself. I have nobody. I have like my parents' house and have my car and my phone. But
Mm,
other than that, I have nothing. But I have everything if I have
wow.
you. I
Yeah.
remember saying that. I remember how it felt in the moment. And I don't ever want to forget how painful that was because that has like helped fuel my worship. Um, yeah, so I think it started there for me.
Yeah.
So in that moment, that love and satisfaction that I had in him alone has helped give me the confidence to step onto the platform. So truthfully, the confidence didn't come for years.
Yeah.
Um, I ended up going through with the worship audition. They were like, "All right, you made the team." I'm like, "Okay, thank goodness I made it. I made
Yeah.
I'm on the team now." I was not like a I was more of like a background vocalist,
Yeah.
and I really had to work my way up in building confidence and building back my relationship with the Lord
Yeah.
to really like lead, if you
Yeah.
will. But there were so many opportunities, so many worship opportunities where we would just gather together as a church and sing and lift up
Mm,
the name of Jesus. And those moments were what cultivated me. So
wow.
it wasn't the practice that I did beforehand or like the vocal warm-ups or anything like that. What grew me was encountering the Lord
Wow.
and nothing else but that.
So good. I think that's very powerful. So I think there's a lot of people that have that desire to, and maybe stepping into ministry in any capacity,
Mhm.
and just knowing it's not, you know, read this book, follow these steps. It's really just fall in love with Jesus, and he'll lead and guide you. And like you said, it's just obedience and following every step. So you started leading at the house. How long were you at the house for?
So I was at the house for about, gosh, I think it was like 2 years.
Okay.
It felt really fast.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
I dove head in though.
Yeah.
Dove straight into that church, and it
Mm,
was super, super fast. And um, yeah, then the Lord called me to North Carolina.
yeah. Tell us about that call to North Carolina. How did that all come about? And what were you going to be doing in North Carolina?
Yeah, so this was crazy. So I had this was when like singing reels Instagram was like super popular,
Yeah.
and I wanted to hop in on it. So I was like, okay, I'm a worship leader. Like I've made friends at this church now. I'm a little bit more established. This is at the house. Um, Became great friends with the music producer at the church, or the MC at the
Okay.
church. So he helped me make some content for Instagram.
Very
So
fun.
I was posting reels every few weeks. It was just fun for me. I loved doing it, and I was like getting lots of encouragement, encouraging stories and such from those videos. So
So
I
cool.
was thinking, I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
He actually, in one of our like recording sessions for a reel, had shared with me like, "Hey, like, have you ever like heard of Elevation Apprenticeship?" And I was
Mm,
like, "No." Like, I know of Elevation. I knew like Lion and
okay.
Worthy, like those like really big
Right.
songs. But I didn't like really. I didn't even think I knew that they were a church.
Yeah.
I thought it
Wow.
was just a worship team.
Yeah. Huh.
Is it still recording?
Let me see. I don't know why it said it stopped. Um, trying to
Did it
see.
stop?
It told me that it did, but I don't know if that means it's. I think you're recording now.
Yeah, it says it's recording now, but I hope that it didn't. My boss just gave me a ring. I had to end it.
Oh, that's fine. No, you can keep going then. I can
Okay.
edit this part. So you'd
Okay,
heard
cool.
about Elevation, but you thought of them more of like a worship team, not as a church.
Yeah, I thought Elevation was a worship team. I didn't think that they had a church building or anything like that. So I kind of like blew it aside. It was just like, yeah, just send it to my Instagram DMs. Like, I'll take a look at it.
Hmm.
And so just didn't really think much of it. Um, Ended up feeling like really compelled to like take a look at it sooner than I anticipated.
Wow.
Looked at it, was like, wait, this is really cool.
Wow.
So I ended up chatting with my mentor at the time and shared with her, like, this is what I see. This is the facts. I don't know if the Lord is calling me
Yeah.
to this. I need discernment. I need prayer. So her and
Yeah.
I really focused on, praying, if this is what the Lord has for me, that He would make it abundantly clear. My
Mm.
parents were who I needed to take this to next. I was still living at home. And
Yes.
although I was an adult and could make my own decisions, I did still want to honor my parents and invite them
Yeah.
in to help me with that decision. And so I didn't want to, because they are my voice of reason and they're very logical. Like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to work during this apprenticeship. And it's just like a lot of logistics that I
Yeah.
wanted help with them to help me iron that out.
Absolutely.
And so brought it to them and they were like, "I think you should go."
Wow.
And I was like, "Whoa,
That was
do you
not what
need
I was
any
expecting.
details?
Yeah.
Do you need the details? Do you want to look at anything?" And so of course they did, but they were like, "This would be a great opportunity and I think that you should go."
Wow.
And of course, behind closed doors, it's a different story. My mom and dad conversing, my dad's like, "She should not go. Like, I don't want her
Wow.
to leave. This is really big. This is scary. She
Mm.
should just stay here." And my mom's like, "We're going to let her go."
Wow.
So that was in December, when
Come.
I December or January, beginning of January
Come.
of 2023.
Wow.
And I ended up seeing a post. I followed Elevation Worship after I found out about the apprenticeship, gave them a follow, saw that they made a post about it, and I just commented on it like these little hands, like, the praise
Yeah, yeah,
hands.
yeah.
Commented the praise hands, and David from Elevation Worship ends up DMing me on Instagram. And I was like, what is happening right
Wow.
now? He was like, hey, like, I checked out your page. Thank goodness I had those videos from the MC that he had
Yeah.
really helped me get those out there. Um, I think that this could be a cool opportunity for you to check out
Wow.
our apprenticeship program. Would love for you just to check it out and maybe apply.
Wow.
So I went ahead and sent in my application, and then I got the yes. I was living in Charlotte the first week of March of that year.
Wow. Wow.
So it happened so fast,
Wow.
and did had no idea what the Lord had in store for me, because this program was supposed to last for 4 months.
Wow.
And I've been here for almost 2.5 years now. For 2.5
Mm.
years, almost 3.
Crazy. Okay, I have so many questions. I'm
It's a
like,
lot.
no, it's so cool though. Okay, so you moved to North Carolina all by yourself. Like you don't know anyone going into this apprenticeship, or did you?
No, I had never been to North Carolina, and I had never met a single soul from North
Wow.
Carolina.
That's huge. Okay, so
Yeah.
what, like obviously like you're excited, like the Lord's moving and you're like this is it. But like what's going through your head of like even just like traveling there, moving in, I'm sure your parents or someone went with you and then they
Yeah.
leave and now it's just you. Are you living with like a couple of different people going through the apprenticeship as well?
Yeah, so my parents dropped me off.
Come
I was anticipating driving by myself, getting there by myself, but we ended up making a little road trip out of it because I
fun.
am from Texas, have to go
Yes.
all the way up to North Carolina. So we ended up making a road trip out of it. Super fun. Um, in my head on the way there, I'm not really, no, I don't know what to think at that
It like
point.
hasn't like hit you. Yeah.
Has not hit me. When my parents left, that's when I was like, okay, we're on our own. But I was living
Yeah.
with one other girl.
Come.
She was also in the apprenticeship as well. And so I was extremely nervous, and talk about an identity crisis when you get to a new place when you've never met anybody or any
Yeah.
had never even been to the city.
Yeah. So what was your first like kind of just share with us briefly like what was this experience like for you? Like did you meet people right away? Was there any like comparison cuz now you're with like all these other people that assuming like lead worship or experienced in
Hmm.
that way? Like kind of what was that for you?
Man, there was so much comparison
Yeah.
within my own heart,
Mm,
which was really, really hard. When it came to the things I wore, how I
wow.
sounded, what I said, like there was so much in my life. One that needed to be refined,
Wow.
but two that I needed to just surrender.
Yeah.
I remember getting here, hearing everyone singing, and in the house, we're singers. You just naturally
Yeah.
sing all the time. Even if you're not a singer, you're
Yeah.
probably singing around your
Right,
house, right?
right.
So everyone's singing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they are doing things don't even know how to even begin to do with my
Mm,
voice. And so
wow.
I'm instantly thinking, okay, well, they're a lot better than me. They
Mm,
dress a lot cooler than me, which sounds so lame because
it's
I'm in
real.
my
It's real.
20s.
Yeah.
I felt like such a ninny. Like I did not know what to wear.
Ugh,
I, when I got there, I realized I how much I truly cared what other people thought about me.
wow.
I desperately wanted everyone to think that I was cool. I
Yeah.
wanted to be a part of like the big things that Elevation Worship was
Yeah.
doing, and I wanted to be a part of Rhythm. And I so desperately wanted to be a part of all of these things
Wow.
that the Lord had not called me to.
Wow.
He called me to be there to grow me and to refine me. He did not call me to go to be a part of something that Rhythm or Elevation Worship was doing.
Wow.
Um, and so, because my focus was not on Jesus in particular, it was on like these opportunities,
Yeah.
I allowed the comparison to come in and kind of rule what I was doing, where what
Wow.
I was wearing.
Yeah,
which causes a lot of different stresses financially,
absolutely.
in your mind, like, it was a lot, and
Yeah.
so there were lots of moments, where the Lord had to teach me, like, "You have to let go of what other people think and say
Mm,
about you.
wow.
It is going to be okay. I have called you here, I have ordained for you to be here, and now you need to surrender to the plans that I have for you."
Wow.
And it does not include comparing the type of shoes that you're
Yeah.
wearing to the
Yeah.
next guy.
Mm. That's so good though, because I think a lot of the times, I mean, I couldn't even imagine when it comes to like it's a talent like the Lord that has given y'all, you know? And
Mhm.
so but comparison is a thief of all joy and we know that, but
Yes.
we all do it and we live with it like right in our hands, you know? Like now we can see people not just in our sphere. I was talking about this with a friend the other day. There used to be a time on Instagram where you'd scroll through and you would get to the end and there was like nothing else to scroll because it was
Oh my
only by
goodness, I
those and
forgot
you were like,
about that.
isn't that funny? But now it's like it just keeps going. People that you're not even following, it suggests for you. You're
Yeah.
seeing now with like reels and TikTok. I mean, you're oversaturated with opportunities to compare yourself, not just to like your
Mhm.
neighbor or people in your community, but people across the world, other churches, other ministries. I mean, all the time, I can even, if I'm not careful, it can be like, well, why would I do Cherish when there's like 5, 10,000 other girl ministries for high school, for college? They're doing it
Mhm.
conferences even bigger, you know, so you can always go that route, but it's ultimately like, but the Lord called me. And I have the joy of seeking Him
Yeah.
to know what's the vision He's given me. And if He's given me that vision, He's going to give the provision for it as well. And so
Yes.
I think that's so cool that we have to wrestle with those things because just like you pointed out, it helps refine us. It brings things to the surface of like, why am I after this? You know, something I've asked
Yeah.
myself with as I lead this ministry is like, what am I doing this for? Is it for, you know, the amount of followers that I have on Instagram, for me to go viral on a video, for someone to see this? Or is it to make Jesus's name known, for more girls to know their
Yeah.
worth and not settle and compromise, fill in the blank? And our flesh comes into the picture with that no
Mhm.
matter what. Like, I think anytime you are called to do something outward, I think it's Christine Kane says, if the spotlight is bigger on you than in you, like you've got a problem going on. And so
Yes.
it's just knowing that. So it's a good thing to be aware of it. I could imagine the wrestling
Yeah.
of that, every aspect, especially in the ministry world, like clothes, culture, everything, like who you know, how
Mhm.
you talk, like it just does become that. But just remembering there's someone in this audience that, man, they're wrestling with like, you know, going back to like thinking of Gracie, you know, in her late teens, early 20s, coming to a church, being at the altar, like someone else is going to be at that moment. And like I could
Yeah.
be, I think you said her name was Alexis.
Yeah.
You can be an Alexis to them, you know, so it's just, it's like honing in on those moments and like saying, Lord, help me to keep my
Yeah.
eyes fixed on you for the greater purpose of why you've called me, of the story you have in me, to do that. So I think that's so good. What were some
Yeah.
things that helped you kind of combat that comparison? Because now, I mean, assuming you're getting asked to lead in moments, you're learning things, you're having opportunities. How do you stay in that place of God, let this be the main thing and not what do people think of my voice when I'm singing, or you know, what are they saying about me? Like how what things helped you to stay in that centered place even in today?
Yeah. I think this is applicable for anybody in any walk of any part of their life that they're walking through
Yeah.
right now, but your voice has the power to break off chains that mine
Mm,
doesn't.
wow.
And because it's the particular gifting that the Lord has given you.
Yeah.
And there's my voice is going to allow others, obviously, like through Jesus, and through the giftings that He's given us, and because we carry His Spirit, like I have power in my voice that's going to help people become free and bondages to break. Um, and so I just had to remind myself that, like, her voice is incredible, and she
Yeah.
is ministering to the heart of so many believers and non-believers.
Yeah.
But also, the Lord has gifted me
So
to
good.
also minister, um, to the same to
Yeah.
different people. But then it really changed. So one, I had to realize, okay, my gifting is completely different than anybody else's.
Yeah.
It's unique to me. It may look and appear the same, but it's different.
Yeah.
Um, but I also had to remember my job was never to minister to people.
Mm.
My job was always to minister to the heart of God.
Wow.
And if I'm not ministering to the heart of God, it does not matter what anybody else thinks. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what they say. Like worship as a genre, I still struggle with this. Like, it's not like a particular song. It's not supposed to be centered around what the Lord
Yeah.
can do. It is solely so that you can minister to his heart. And in
Yeah.
doing so, he's going to in turn do that same thing for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It's just like when you switch it around and you're like, okay, all I'm focusing on right now, Lord, is just singing to you and praising you and
Mm.
thanking you, and just even speaking of your character because that aligns my heart and soul with who he is.
So good.
Um, yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. Like
Yeah.
when you genuinely make that like head switch and heart switch, it
Yeah.
just becomes easier,
Yeah.
not easy, but easier to
Yeah.
focus on what really matters.
Yeah. No, I think that's so powerful because I think, truthfully, that's every aspect of our lives. When we talk about like our lives should be, worship unto the Lord, it's this very point of, I'm just going to magnify him. I'm just going to glorify him in all that I do.
Mhm.
Because again, it gets your eyes off of you and onto him and off of others and onto him. And
Yeah,
it just that begins to transfer in you and through you to those around you. And I can only imagine, again, with worship, but with anything in life, if your sole focus is doing it because you want someone to like it, like if every post I'm making is so, I hope I get a lot of likes on this post, or I
yeah,
hope, you're going to miss it. And ultimately, now you're making it again about you rather than what is the Lord calling you to. Because there's going to be things that the Lord calls for us to do, and there's not going to be a lot of people that follow. And that's
mhm,
the very point of it. It's like, I think about when Jesus would say, like, eat of my flesh, drink of my blood. Like, people were like, out. He lost so many people, but yet he was obedient to say what he needed to say and
yeah,
be who he was called to
so
be. And
good.
so I think that's just that reminder of, man, we have to fall more in love with him, which means we have to know him. We have to spend diligent time. And it's not about how much time did you spend with Jesus today, but it's where is your heart throughout the day? Where do you fall back on? Like, are you aware that like I need to be desperate for the Lord? And what's
Yeah,
causing me not to be desperate for the Lord? So I think what you're hitting at is really just a way of life, a way of living our lives. And
exactly.
it frees us so much more because
Mhm.
people pleasing is so it's just going to separate so much, cause so much damage, so much hurt, and ultimately like we're not here to please people but to please God, and we're going to disappoint, hurt, frustrate, not for that being our intention, but just the word of God, the truth. Like it's not always fun and fuzzy and feel
Yeah,
good feeling,
right?
like it's that question of like we typically go to the things that make us feel good rather than the things that are good for us. And so
Mhm.
I think we only know that by spending time with the Lord. So I think what you're hitting at
Yeah.
is really good. Okay, well, I guess to kind of wrap us up, there's been so many great things that you've talked about. I've loved this podcast. What would be like a piece of advice or encouragement that you would give to a girl listening to this podcast? I know we hit on a lot of different things. We talked about, porn and sexual addiction and kind of coming free from that, the importance of having community, the difference between singing and
Mhm.
worship, comparison, the spirit of religion, and knowing that Jesus is, a person that wants to connect with us, that he's right there with us. What would be kind of your last bit of advice to wrap us up and give to a girl on the other side listening to this?
Man, there's 2 things. There's one thing that I was going to say at the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, Something that I had heard a couple of years back, it really kind of helped put things in perspective for me, is that if the enemy can't take your salvation, the
Mm,
next greatest thing is your destiny,
wow.
who God has called you to be.
Wow.
And so, as a believer, who struggled with all of the things, comparison and anxiety, and depression and porn. Like, these are all things that, if you allow them to, can steal
Yeah.
who God has called you to be.
Wow.
And so I think what really changed things for me was realizing that I had to truly daily surrender every single minute, every
Yeah.
single moment. It's not even a, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to choose to surrender. It's like, okay, Lord, the next 5 minutes,
Yeah.
like, these are yours. Like,
Yeah.
the thought comes in, God, no, this is for
Yeah.
you. This is yours. So I think truly understanding what surrendering is,
So good.
and knowing that the altar is not a physical location, but it's a heart
Wow.
posture.
So good.
So always knowing that you have the um, ability to lay anything at Jesus's feet
Yeah.
at any moment.
So good.
And then another thing that kind of ties along with that is one of my favorite pastors, Pastor John Bevere,
Mm.
shared in one of his podcasts that um, he had been spending so much time with the Lord trying to write this book. He's spending like 4 hours a day dedicated to prayer.
Wow.
And his wife was, praying in the shower, or praying when she's making dinner, and she was getting revelation from the Lord. And
Mm.
Pastor John was like, Lord, I'm spending way more time with you than my wife
Yeah.
is. Like, what is happening right now? Why am I not hearing from you? And the Lord told him, it's because Lisa never shuts herself off to me.
Wow.
He was like, you give me a certain amount of time a day, and then you
Mm.
call it. And you're like, all right, Lord, that was it. I had 4 hours. It's awesome. Like, imagine if you went
Wow.
home tonight, April, and you told your husband, you know, oh, you can't talk to me just yet. It's not 6 o'clock yet.
Yeah.
And then 6 o'clock comes, okay, I can talk to you now. And
Wow.
then 7 o'clock hits and you're like, oh, sorry, we can't talk anymore. Like, how
Wow.
can you have a relationship like that when
Yeah.
you're only allowing the Lord to speak to you at a
So
certain
good.
amount of time a day? But when you open it up and you have 30-second prayer here, and you're talking to the Lord, making dinner, Lord, like, pray that this nourish my body, or Lord, what can you do with this next 30 minutes in my day? Like, when
Wow.
you allow him into every moment,
Yeah.
there's so much more time in the day for him to speak to you,
Wow.
um, and for you guys to be building that relationship rather than dedicating the 5-10 minutes in the morning reading your devotional and praying and calling it.
Yeah. So
Um,
good.
so I think just the encouragement that everyone's time with the Lord is going to look so different.
Yeah.
And that hour in the day is not bad, but it's when we close ourselves off to God for the rest of the day that's when
Yeah.
it turns harmful.
Yeah.
So I think just always being, I guess, like, always being turned on to knowing that, like, God can speak to you at any time, and you
Yeah.
also can speak to Him at any time.
Mm.
So I
So
think that
good.
that would be my encouragement, because with
Mm.
that constant communion with God, that lessens your temptation,
Yeah.
and it just helps you to fill your mind with more things that are
Mm.
uh, Christ-like, which in
That's
turn
so
makes your
good.
life so much more rich.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's such great advice. So, girls, you better be jotting that down and remembering it because that is so good. It's like, it's so frustrating because it's so simple, but yet we
Right.
overcomplicate things all the time. And it's like,
Hmm.
just do this and this will be, the result of it. So, Gracie, thank you so much for your time on the podcast today.
Absolutely.
I am so proud of you. I am cheering you on. Cherish is cheering you on. I'm jealous of North Carolina that they get you. I'm like, come on, just share a little bit. So we will find a way to get you connected out here for another conference we do. We
Hey,
need
get me
Gracie
over to
to,
the West Coast. I would love
yes,
to. I've
we
never
got you.
been.
Okay, so it's on the bucket list. It's gonna happen. It's gonna
On the
happen.
bucket list.
Yes.
April, you
Ah,
are such an incredible woman. It has been
mm.
such a joy to chat with you today. And gosh, there's just so much more that we could dive into.
I know. So maybe we'll have to do a part two. Who knows? So many things to discuss. Well, girls, I just know that you guys enjoyed this episode. Like always, find a friend, talk about this episode with them, share it with someone in your circle that you know that this would be a blessing to them. As always, make sure that you're liking and subscribing, following along, and we will be back in a few weeks with another episode. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.